SANTACO and other major taxi associations met in Khayelitsha on the 3rd of August. This followed the organization's withdrawal from the minibus taxi task team set up to address numerous challenges in the industry. Earlier that week, taxi operators and law enforcement clashed in the CBD of Cape Town. While SANTACO suggested a stay away for 6 days to start the following morning, operators voted for an immediate suspension of all taxi operations. An estimated 12,000 taxis would not operate with immediate effect. According to SANTACO, around 6,000 vehicles had been impounded by law enforcement in the city of Cape Town.
You would have seen there that people are angry, and it came from the floor that actually the stay away must happen as of now. In fact, some were saying, given what has happened over the last 2 days, where our drivers were being beaten up, our taxis were being vandalized, and the city of Cape Town and the provincial government says nothing, absolutely nothing about those law enforcement officers who were clearly, blatantly breaking their own laws by beating up people and vandalizing taxis. Nothing is being said. Every time J.P. Smith speaks, he seeks to justify the action of those law enforcement. We haven't seen him condemn those actions.
The city of Cape Town said its aim was to improve road safety. It said enacting the national law stood for all people who use vehicles.
It cannot be that an industry says to us, well, we're busy with transporting a very large number of people, but inadvertently we believe we need to create a number of offences, and we expect you not to react to those offences because we're busy with critical transport work. We accept the importance of the transport work, but we also expect the industry to improve its standards, to deploy roadworthy vehicles with competent drivers who are fit and proper drivers, who understand the National Road Traffic Act and the provisions of law, and operate those vehicles in a safe manner that doesn't put their passengers, their commuters, or other road users at risk. That's an important principle for us.
That afternoon, the announcement of an immediate strike caught tens of thousands of people off guard. Left with no transport, people made desperate attempts to get onto buses. Devastating scenes played out at bus terminals across the city. With little to no trains operational in the city, commuters were left with no choice but to take drastic action. Thousands had to take perilous walks along the Into highway to make their way home.
Last night I didn't go home because the Uber didn't come to fetch me. Then I was getting robbed by the 3 guys. Now I go back to my work, I sleep to my work, and then after that I wake up, I watch in the place for us for the showers. Then after that I start to work again. So I've got 2 days now in Cape Town now. I can't get home because there's no transport for me to travel.
This has really impacted us. We are scared, but we are taking a risk. Otherwise, we are forced with losing our livelihoods. It's difficult to just stay at home because some of our bosses do not understand what we are faced with. It's really unsafe in our parts of the city.
And now also you have a cut in your salary because you get home early. You have to leave early in order for you to be home early. So I don't think it's fair on us as commuters.
The taxi strike wasn't good for a lot of people because we come late at home and some people walk down the road from the freeway, and it was very dangerous for some people. But we also came late at home. We also struggled to wake up this morning to come to work, also came late. But I just think that it wasn't fair for some of us.
The majority of people making use of minibus taxis are workers living in impoverished townships along the Into highway. The industry provides transport to around 70% of all residents of Cape Town. Violence erupted soon after, with reports of cars being stoned, torching of vehicles and buses, and shootings.
SANTACO distances themselves from the violence that is taking place on the street. Remember, we are not on strike, but we are in stay away. And when we are stay away, it means that we are parking our vans at our taxi ranks, at our homes or houses, and we are sitting at our houses. So we are not responsible for what is happening out there.
Emergency talks started almost immediately, with SANTACO demanding, among others, that its impounded vehicles be released. The discussions went into late nights and early mornings with no resolution. By Monday, no end seemed in sight as violence escalated. Golden Arrow bus services approached the High Court for an immediate interdict. A bus driver was shot and wounded, and 6 of the company's buses were gutted after being torched.
In the Cape Town metropole area are restrained from intimidating, threatening, harassing, or in any way interfering with Golden Arrow's operations throughout Cape Town. And they are also interdicted and restrained from intimidating, threatening, harassing, or assaulting any of Golden Arrow employees or passengers. And they are restrained from damaging any of the properties and facilities of the Golden Arrow Bus Company.
SANTACO's legal representative said the organisation undertook to peacefully advance the interests of the minibus taxi industry in the province. In that period, Cape Town Mayor Jordan E. Lewis said during a City Council debate that it's important for the whole of South Africa that there is a recommitment to the rule of law.
It can and should serve as a catalyst to reimagine our public transport and to reform the taxi industry to better serve its passengers and its drivers. The biggest elephant in the room during this crisis was the lack of a functional passenger rail service. If trains had been running, the taxi industry would not have been able to hold Cape Townians to ransom. It is imperative that the running of Metro Rail be devolved from national government to the city as soon as possible. When it comes to reforms of the taxi industry itself, the biggest change will come from removing the incentive for bad driver behavior just to earn a living. Drivers need to have the same protections under labor laws that employees elsewhere have, including a reasonable wage and reasonable hours. By treating drivers as proper employees, we can remove the incentive to break rules just to earn a living. That is something we should invest our efforts into making a reality, and I certainly will be taking that up.
Tens of thousands of pupils and staff were unable to reach schools, while health facilities and several clinics were closed due to safety concerns. Police Minister Bheki Cele stated that a total of 5 people were reported dead, 120 people had been arrested, and 53 taxis were impounded by law enforcement operations, clearing a taxi blockade on the 3rd of August. Following late-night negotiations between the City of Cape Town and SANTACO, the 8-day strike finally came to an end on the 10th of August. The minibus taxi task team has since been reconvened, with all parties agreeing to work on issues pertaining to the taxi industry. Mariska Botha, SABC News, Cape Town.